to the Idaho Bigfoot YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're discussing one of the three major senses every animal and every human on Earth has: sight. This will be part one of a series of episodes discussing the potential senses Bigfoot has. And this is also my first video on the topic, so welcome to the channel. I hope you like it. Now, I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not an expert on biology nor Bigfoot. And in all honesty, no one is truly an expert when it comes to Bigfoot research. Unless we get someone living with a group of Sasquatch and documenting every behavior and idiosyncrasy of the individuals in the group as a whole, just like Jane Goodall did with chimpanzees, no one really knows much about Bigfoot. Some, like Jeff Meldrum, are experts of footprints and anthropology, but none of us know all there is to know about these creatures. If we had our own sightings, that means that we're basing everything we know or believe off of what we saw. Or, if we haven't had our own sightings, we're basing what we know off of what someone else has seen, trusting that not only are they telling the truth, but they are telling it the way it actually happened. So, that brings me to my next point. I'm obviously assuming that Bigfoot exists. I know many have their own theories about its existence or are super skeptical. Everything I share here is my own opinion, but I do my best to be as factual as possible. Now, enough of that. Why is this an important topic? Well, many conduct their research wearing bright-colored jackets and clothing, use equipment that could be something Bigfoot can see and might be sensitive to, and don't tend to pay much attention to being stealthy. Now, I respect the varying methods of research people try. However, if everyone does the same things and never tries to break the mold, the potential for discovery is low. For me, I believe wholeheartedly that Bigfoot can see, hear, or smell you, especially if someone else could. So if you're trying to stalk and find a Bigfoot, potentially nature's most stealthy inhabitant, why not do your best to be as quiet, hard to see, and hard to smell as possible? Now, I know there's plenty of people who go with the theory that Bigfoot can just sense you no matter how much you try to evade its detection, but to me that's often more of an excuse than an explanation, but to each their own. Now, for me, one of the best ways I think to gauge the potential capabilities of a wood ape is to find a middle ground between an animal, especially if it's in the same geographical range, and a human. So first, let's look at humans. We love gadgets, tools, and other things to enhance our capabilities. Binoculars, for example. But I doubt a Sasquatch would have any unless it beat up some poor old birdwatcher. Tools allow us to match the capabilities somewhat of other creatures. But our naked eyes are impressive by themselves. The range of visible light for most people is between 380 to 700 nanometers. Color is determined by the cones in our eyes. We have three types of cone cells. Each can register, give or take, about 100 different color shades. In total, we can see about 1 million individual shades and colors. Interestingly enough, psychology textbooks state that on a clear, dark night, a candle flame can be spotted from as far away as almost 30 miles, or 48 kilometers. And on a clear night, we can see a vast amount of brilliant stars, but even the closest are estimated to be over 24 trillion miles away. All are in our own Milky Way galaxy. The farthest object we can see with our naked eyes is the Andromeda galaxy, which again is estimated to be 2.5 million light years, or 3 quintillion miles away. Very impressive indeed. Now, good eyesight for people is 20/20. But let's compare that with the eagle, a creature well known for its long-range visual acuity. Because of the structure of the eagle's eyeball, they have an impressive 25 or 24 vision. Human eyes are positioned in the front of our head, as compared to something like a horse with eyes on the side of the head. This gives us binocular vision of 180 degrees. On the other hand, an eagle's eyes are rotated towards the front of the head and are angled 30 degrees from the midline of the face. This allows them to have a 340-degree field of vision. Eagles have the ability to switch between things that are near and far very clearly and quickly. This requires quick changes of the eyes known as accommodation. Eagles not only have a lens that changes the shape to accommodate the changing distance, but even their cornea has the ability to change shape to better focus on near and far objects. They can also see ultraviolet light, allowing them to see the urine residue and tracing left by mice, voles, and other prey, while even hundreds of feet in the air. Now, tigers, another creature with binocular vision, have more or less the same vision we do, except they are not able to perceive detail like we can. We'll get into that in a moment, but they, along with bears, wolves, and other carnivores, have excellent night vision. Now, the reason light causes the eyes to shine at night is because of a layer of a shiny substance on the back of the eye, located on the retina. It's called the tapetum lucidum. Bears have about 10 times as many rods as us humans have, and because of the tapetum lucidum, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, reflecting back available light, and the fact that their pupil opens twice as wide as ours can, bears have excellent night vision, as do tigers and other predators that hunt at night. Now, turkeys are another creature I want to look at. Turkeys are well renowned by hunters and wildlife photographers as elusive creatures with great eyesight. One reason turkeys are so elusive is that their eyes are among the most sophisticated in the vertebrate world. They can detect even slight movements at great distances. That's how they detect predators such as coyotes, bobcats, and great horned owls. Turkey retinas have 7 different types of photoreceptors, 1 type of rod cell, and 6 different types of cone cells. Rods detect light intensity, and cones detect color. Human retinas, by comparison, contain just a single type of rod and 3 types of cones, as we mentioned earlier. Based on the abundance of cone cells, it's clear that turkeys have excellent color vision. For detecting human threats, however, it's one particular type of color-sensitive cone cell that gives turkeys an almost unfair visual advantage. These cone cells are sensitive to UV light, so they see things that we cannot. This is also true for many other birds and mammals. UV brighteners are a common ingredient in detergents, so the more often an item is washed, the brighter it glows. We'll come back to this as well in a bit. Turkeys also have excellent peripheral vision. Like most birds, their eyes are positioned on the sides of their head, giving them a field of view of approximately 270 degrees, and they have a neck that can turn almost completely around. Because of the position of their eyes, they lack true 3D vision, but they compensate by bobbing their head up and down, enabling their eyes to gather information about relative distances and apparent depths of field. So thanks to razor-sharp vision, sensitivity to UV light, and near 360-degree field of view, wild turkeys are hypervigilant regarding their visual environment. Now let's look at one last creature, pit vipers. These are well known for their pit receptors that allow them to sense infrared radiation. These receptors are lined with heat sensors located along their jaws, giving them a built-in thermal and infrared sensing system that detects infrared radiation as heat on a molecular level. Scientists believe that the pit viper's heat-sensing organs are meant to complement their regular vision and provide a replacement imaging system in low-light environments. Now, could Bigfoot see at night similar to what we can see when equipped with night vision optics? Absolutely. And according to a BBC article, people with a condition called aphakia possess ultraviolet vision. Aphakia is the lack of a lens due to surgical removal for cataracts or congenital defects. The lens normally blocks ultraviolet light, so without it, people are able to see beyond the visible spectrum and perceive wavelengths of about 300 nanometers as having a bluish-white color. And a study in 2014 pointed out that, in a manner of speaking, we can see infrared photons too. If 2 infrared photons smack into a retinal cell nearly simultaneously, their energy can combine, converting them from an invisible wavelength of, say, 1000 nanometers to a visible 500 nanometers, a cool green to most eyes. So even without equipment, we have the potential capability to see infrared and have a broader visual spectrum. So it's not unlikely that a creature we haven't studied yet could have that capability normally, especially when numerous other animals can see infrared and the UV color spectrum. Now, could they see things thermally like snakes? I suppose. Although no known mammal can, who can say that a creature as elusive as Bigfoot couldn't? Many who publicly search for Sasquatch use IR cameras and trail cameras for their programs, but don't factor in these potential capabilities. Now, I approve of both, but only when you use them properly. Here are some clips of deer, coyotes, and even snowshoe hares reacting to my infrared cameras. Now, of course, there's a couple things that can factor into this: the sound of the cameras and the smell, or scent, that they might have on them. However, the latter doesn't really apply in this case, as I was careful to douse everything with descent spray, which we'll bring up down the road, but is basically used to eliminate any smell that could alert a game animal to your presence. And even before I used it, the cameras really didn't have much of a noticeable smell, as I used them a lot in the field before I took them out to use in these areas. So they were not fresh out of the box with a factory-like smell. So I believe scent can be ruled out. Now, the sound could have been a factor, but they were not noisy cameras by any means, and most were insulated so as to absorb any noise they might make.
and nothing reacted to them during the day, and they would make the same noises regardless of the time of day when something would walk in front of them. But both senses, hearing and smell, will be addressed in their own videos, as well as how I disguise and use trail cameras. Now, the reason I believe these animals saw the IR light from the cameras is because in every case they reacted, it was to a red glow camera, as compared to the black flash or no glow cameras where, even when only inches away from the camera, nothing reacted to them. Now, black flash cameras are about 940 nanometers, whereas the visible red glow lights are about 850 nanometers. Red glow lights literally emit a red glow that is visible to the naked eye, and unfortunately almost every TV show and or YouTube channel uses them. Mostly because they are comparatively the inexpensive option as compared to the more expensive and less popular no-glow cameras. And really, if you don't know much about trail cameras, there's no reason at first glance to not use them. And unfortunately, people usually just strap the uncamouflaged or often poorly camouflaged cameras to a tree and call it good. Hence why so many are stolen and vandalized. Some have had them shot and bashed, and some have even been attacked by a bear. Now, putting them 10 or 20 feet up high in a tree is certainly an option, but it makes them hard to reach and might be hard to see anything from the camera's perspective if it's placed too high up. For most people getting into trail cameras, I believe that camouflage is overall a good option. Now, again, we'll go into what I use, but as an example, here's a picture of one of my hidden trail cameras. I hid it using natural camouflage rather than any print, but it's a good example of what I mean by hiding trail cameras. Can you spot it? Now, camouflage is amazing if used correctly, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of patterns available. And there's natural camouflage as well, like I just showed you, that is amazing. Here are some examples of different manufacturers' patterns in action. Now, camouflage takes a lot of effort to design. The main purpose of camouflage is to reduce the recognition of distinguishable shapes, such as the human outline, and to allow it to integrate into the environment. To do that, a good pattern must be made to segment and destroy the target contour. And you need to have the right colors too, so as to blend into the background rather than stand out. By combining different colors and lines, camouflage can make the target object disappear in the observer's field of vision until it's too late. A rough surface appears darker than a smooth surface, even if both are the same color. In extreme cases, the texture of glass or other very smooth surfaces stand out from the background. Therefore, eliminating shine is important. Camouflage is usually a series of mottled colors in a pattern. This is used because it is visually disruptive. The lines hide the contours of the wearer's body by helping connect it visually with the surrounding environment. The reason this works is when you look at things, your brain likes to group them together into larger objects in order to maintain visual continuity. For example, a lot of small green objects are perceived as one large item. However, a bunch of green and brown elements, such as the splotches and camouflage, are all perceived separately. If someone is wearing one solid color, they would stand out among the foliage of a forest, for example. However, if they were wearing numerous colors, your brain would perceive them as part of the surrounding environment. The greens in camouflage would be perceived as part of the surrounding leaves, the brown as part of the branches, and so on. Once the person wearing camouflage is recognized, though, they will stand out because your brain now perceives him or her as a single object. Now let's circle back for just a moment to again discuss pattern recognition in humans, as I promised earlier. See, the ability to find and distinguish patterns in humans is nearly unbeatable, and one of the very few ways we outmatch most other animals in terms of sensing our surroundings. Billions of neurons in our eyes work simultaneously to extract features from our field of vision, and then pass what they find to the primary visual cortex in the back of our brains. We can visually encode abstract information, such as financial info, which forms patterns that allow us to explore and make sense of that information, leading to insights that might never occur if the data works in any other way. And being able to encode data visually in ways that form perceptible and meaningful patterns is a critical skill that is difficult to evade. Now, let's go back to camouflage. There are two main types of camouflage that should be considered: hunting camo and military camo. Hunting camo is my favorite and is often better suited to stealthy movement. Military camo is simpler and often better for hard work. Simply put, hunting camo fabric is often a soft fabric designed so that it doesn't attract attention. For example, if your legs rub together while you're walking. But a soft fleece doesn't take wear and tear as well as a tough cordura or denim. However, cordura makes quite a racket when you're trying to be stealthy. So patterns shouldn't be your only concern. Then camo must be further distinguished. Photorealistic camo, like Realtree, Mossy Oak, and Huntworth's Hidden Camo. There's digital camo, like Marpat and Huntworth's Disruption. And then there's macro/micro camo, such as True Timber, Cryptek, and Avios. Photorealistic patterns use multi-layered images to simulate the background in which you are hunting. Digital and macro camos are built on the same basic principle. No discernible pattern means less identifiable shape. The use of asymmetrical design aids in breaking up the human silhouette and helps you go undetected. Camo must be chosen for the area, as one pattern typically won't cut it, at least out west here. Now, I plan on testing camo this year on my other YouTube channel, Jeff's Outdoor Adventures, and seeing how well it performs in different terrains. But my go-to for the area I live in is currently Realtree Extra. The tones match incredibly well, and the clothes I wear, I will review them soon, are incredibly comfortable and affordable. But remember this, an orange hat is a must, or chartreuse, or pink, or purple depending on your preference. But blaze orange is the gold standard. Now, I know I just said something about how a lot of Bigfoot researchers wear colorful clothing and how that's maybe not a good thing. Why am I saying you should wear some colorful clothing? To put it simply, it stops you from being shot at. And refrain from wearing anything white during or near deer season unless it's really snowy out. See, white-tailed deer use their aptly named white tails to warn other deer around them that there's danger nearby by raising their tails straight up and running. Unfortunately, far too many die every year from mistaken identity. Meaning, too many people go out in the woods with a loaded gun and shoot at anything that moves without even thinking. As a hunter, it's very angering on my part. People should know far better. And to become a hunter, you have to pass hunter education, meaning you are taught to not shoot at anything that just moves. So a lot of people, again, should know far, far better. But anyway, basically, if you're passing through an area that has a lot of access, remember to wear the orange hat and vest, at least until you're in a quiet area you want to be in, or get near to that area. See, wearing the colorful clothing all the time isn't necessarily a good idea, not something I completely agree with. However, it's not always a bad idea, especially if you're in a very, very public area. Orange is the best color to wear, however, as a lot of animals have a hard time seeing that color, unless it's something like a turkey, which has very strong visual capabilities. Now let's circle back to UV brighteners, shall we? Common detergents, besides their smell, can cause you to glow like a glow stick. That's why Wildlife Research Center scent killer detergent is what I use for my hunting clothing. But Dead Downwind, Hunter Specialties, and Nose Jammer brands, along with others, are excellent choices as well. I hope to test them out on the channel at some point down the road, but we'll see. These detergents do not have UV brighteners that other detergents have. And there's a product that is sold that is supposed to erase UV brighteners. There's both a detergent type product that goes in the washer, and there's a spray that you can use on the move. I cannot say how well these work yet, but I have heard good things. And testing your clothing under a UV light is a good idea. A white shirt might blend into a snowy hill, but exposed to UV light, it stands out big time. In fact, it glows a very, very bright blue. So in summary, many creatures possess interesting visual characteristics, and it's very likely that a creature such as Bigfoot could possess night vision, and is capable of seeing into the infrared spectrum. It's very likely that it possesses very good eyesight, allowing them to spot things at a distance. It's likely that Bigfoot can see ultraviolet light, and it's possible, although unlikely in my opinion, that it could see thermal heat signatures. But simply possessing the capability to see light emitted by trail cameras and seeing well both at night and during the day are impressive enough, and are traits that I believe they possess. Keeping this in mind during research, I believe, will prove to be wise. Again, many people do not consider what Sasquatch might be able to see, hear, and smell. And guess what? We still haven't found decisive proof of its existence. Now, I'm not attacking anyone, but here's my logic. Because people wear perfume or cologne, wear clothing that absolutely glows because of UV brighteners and are typically bright colors to begin with, smell badly because of scents contained in detergents and fabric softeners, pay no attention to how noisy they are, don't pay attention to the wind direction, use equipment that is probably visible to these creatures, and typically have little experience with stalking and finding game animals, they have a hard time getting close to a smart, cunning creature that doesn't want to be near humans. And the TV show Finding Bigfoot, for example, has a crew of probably 10 people following and recording them at all times, so stealth is really out of the question. Unsurprisingly, hunters who do pay attention to these things are descented, camouflaged, quiet, and pay attention to their surroundings have some of the best encounters and even evidence that can be found throughout the field. So obviously there's pros and cons to everything. There's no doubt about that. But I would love to see someone break the mold and pursue different ways of Bigfoot research. I personally believe that it will pay off. But anyway, that concludes my argument. I want to give a big thanks to all these articles, websites, and resources that allowed me to make this video and be as accurate as possible. Thank you. And thank you to all of you for watching to the end. Please feel free to let me know what you think, but remember to keep the comment section friendly. And if you have any experiences you'd like me to share on the channel, please feel free to email me at idahobigfootchannel@gmail.com. And remember to like this video, subscribe for more content, and please share this video wherever you'd like by clicking the share button down below and copying the link. It really helps. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.